Jake Morrison worked the night shift on Station 7, fixing broken air filters and checking pressure valves. Most people avoided the night shift, but Jake liked the quiet. The station corridors were empty, except for the hum of machines and the distant glow of stars through the viewports. 3 days ago, everything changed. It started in the cafeteria during his dinner break. Jake was eating his usual protein pack and synthetic coffee when he felt someone watching him. He looked up and saw her. She sat 3 tables away. Her skin was silver like polished metal, but somehow soft-looking. Her eyes were purple and larger than any human eyes should be. Her hair was white and moved on its own like it was underwater, even though the gravity was normal. Jake tried not to stare, but it was hard. Station 7 got alien visitors sometimes, but none like her. She was beautiful in a way that made his brain confused, like looking at a sunset on a planet with 3 suns. When Jake got up to leave, she watched him go. Her purple eyes followed him to the door. He felt them on his back all the way down the corridor. The next night she was there again. Same table, same purple stare. This time, Jake noticed more details. Her fingers were longer than human fingers with an extra joint. She wore simple gray clothes that looked like they were made of smoke. When she moved, her whole body flowed like liquid. Jake's friend Amy sat down next to him, blocking his view. Amy worked security and always had. "Gossip to share, you look weird," Amy said, stealing a fry from his plate. "What is wrong?" "Nothing." Jake lied, but Amy was already turning around to look. She spotted the alien woman immediately. Amy's hand moved to the scanner on her belt, the one that checked identification. "She is not registered," Amy whispered. "No alien visitors on the list today. This is strange. Maybe she just arrived." Jake suggested, though he knew that was impossible. Every visitor had to register weeks in advance. Amy stood up to investigate, but the alien woman was already gone. She moved so fast Jake did not even see her leave. Just an empty table and the feeling that something important had just happened. That night Jake could not focus on work. He kept thinking about those purple eyes. Every shadow in the corridor made him turn around, expecting to see her. He checked behind storage units and in empty rooms, but found nothing. By the 3rd day, Jake was jumpy. He had not slept well. His dreams were full of silver skin and purple stars. His supervisor, Lisa, noticed. "You feeling okay, Jake?" she asked. "You seem distracted, just tired," Jake said, tightening a loose bolt on the water recycling unit. Lisa frowned but said nothing. She knew Jake was reliable. He never missed work, never complained. But today he kept looking over his shoulder like someone was following him. Someone was. Jake saw her reflection in a metal panel. She was 20 feet behind him, standing perfectly still. When he turned, she stepped behind a corner, but not fast enough. He saw the edge of her gray clothes disappear. This time Jake followed her. He walked quickly but quietly down the corridor. His boots made soft sounds on the metal floor. He turned the corner and found himself in the observation deck. She stood at the huge window looking at Earth. The blue planet filled the entire view, making her silver skin look blue too. She did not run this time. Jake walked closer, but stayed near the door, ready to leave if needed. Up close, she was even stranger and more beautiful. Her skin had tiny patterns like frost on glass. Her purple eyes had gold flecks that moved like living things. "Why are you following me?" Jake asked, surprised by how steady his voice sounded. She turned slowly, like she was moving through thick air. When she spoke, her voice was musical with notes that human throats could not make. "You are Jake Morrison," she said. It was not a question. "How do you know my name?" Jake asked. Taking a step back, she reached into her clothes and pulled out something small, crystal cube that fit in her palm. She held it up and it projected light into the air. The light became an image. Jake saw a man in an old Earth Force uniform standing next to an alien woman. The woman looked like the one in front of him, but older. The man looked familiar too, somehow like looking in a mirror that showed the future. "This human was Peter Morrison," she said. "Your grandfather." Jake's legs felt weak. His grandfather had disappeared 30 years ago on the first contact mission to the Zelani system. Everyone said he died when his ship exploded, but here was proof he had lived. "That is impossible," Jake whispered. My grandfather is dead, no, said the alien woman. He lived. He came to my world. He became one of us. She touched the crystal, and the image changed. It showed Peter Morrison older now with gray hair standing with a group of silver-skinned aliens. He was smiling, wearing their clothes, speaking their language. He saved us, the woman continued. Our planet was dying from a sickness that killed thousands. Your grandfather brought human medicine and human knowledge. He found a cure. We called him the Earth Healer. Jake could not breathe. This was too much. His grandfather was not just alive, but a hero on an alien planet. Who are you? Jake asked, though part of him already knew the answer. My name is Lyra, she said. I am the daughter of the woman in the image. Your grandfather was my father. The observation deck was silent except for the hum of the station. Jake stared at Lyra, trying to understand his grandfather had a family on another world. This alien was his family. You are my cousin. Jake said the words, feeling impossible in his mouth. Yes, Lyra said with something that might have been a smile. Her mouth worked differently than human mouths. I came across the galaxy to find you. Jake had so many questions they crashed together in his mind. Why now? Why in secret? What did she want? But before he could ask any of them, an alarm started blaring. Red lights flashed and Amy's voice came over the speaker's security breach and observation deck. Unknown alien presence. All personnel stay clear, they had been discovered. Jake grabbed Lyra's arm without thinking. Her skin felt cool and smooth like glass. The red lights kept flashing, making her silver skin look like fire. We need to go, Jake said, pulling her toward the maintenance tunnel he knew about. But Lyra did not move. She was stronger than she looked, much stronger. She stood like a statue while Jake pulled uselessly at her arm. I am not afraid, she said calmly. They cannot hurt me. I have diplomatic papers. You do not understand, Jake said. Hearing boots running. In the corridor, security here shoots first and asks questions later, especially with unregistered aliens. Now Lyra moved. She followed Jake to a panel in the wall. He typed his maintenance code and it slid open, revealing a narrow tunnel used for repair. Work it in, Jake said, and Lyra folded her tall body into the small space. Jake followed and closed the panel just as the main door burst open. Through the thin metal, they could hear Amy's voice along with others. Jake recognized the deep voice of Commander Stone, who ran station security scan. Everything Stone ordered. Someone saw the alien here 5 minutes ago. Lock down this whole section. Jake held his breath. Beside him, Lyra was perfectly still. She did not even seem to be breathing. Her purple eyes glowed faintly in the dark tunnel. They crawled through the tunnel for what felt like hours but was probably 10 minutes. Jake's knees hurt from the metal grating. Finally, they reached another panel. Jake pushed it open carefully. They came out. In Jake's workshop where he fixed things during his shifts, tools hung on the walls and broken equipment sat on benches waiting for repair. It was the one place on the station where Jake felt safe. Lyra stood up gracefully despite being cramped in the tunnel for so long. She looked around the workshop with interest, touching a welding torch carefully, like it was a piece of art. Your grandfather had a place like this on Zelani, she said. He was always fixing things, making them better. He taught us so much about human engineering. Jake wanted to hear more, but he knew they did not have time. The whole station would be looking for Lyra soon. Why did you not register properly? Jake asked. Why sneak aboard? Lyra's face changed. It was hard to read, alien expressions, but Jake thought she looked sad. Your government denied my request, she said. They said no, Zelani could visit Earth or Earth stations. The peace treaty allows trade, but not personal visits. They especially would not allow me to contact you. Why? Jake asked. What are they afraid of? Lyra sat on a bench, her long fingers tracing patterns on the metal surface. They are afraid of what I am. Proof that humans and Zelani can be family. They think it will complicate politics if people know. Your grandfather had a child with my mother. Jake felt anger rise in his chest. His grandfather had been a hero. He saved an entire planet and fell in love. This was not something to hide. So you came anyway? Jake said, with new respect for his alien. Cousin, I had to, Lyra said, pulling out another crystal. This one was smaller and darker. She held it out to Jake before my mother died. She gave me this. It has messages from your grandfather, videos he recorded for his Earth family. He never stopped thinking about home even when he made a new home with us. Jake took the crystal. It was warm and seemed to pulse like it was alive. How do I watch it? Jake asked. Lyra touched the crystal, and a small hologram appeared. It was Peter Morrison, much older than the photos Jake had seen. He was sitting in a strange room with purple walls and windows that showed two suns. Hello. Jake, the hologram said. My grandson. You are probably a grown man now. I am sorry I never came back. There was an accident with the ship, and by the time the Zilani rescued me, it was too late. The radiation had damaged me. I would have died on the journey home. Jake felt tears in his eyes. His grandfather looked happy, but also sad. I want you to know, I found love here. The recording continued. And I had another family. But I never forgot you or your parents. I told my daughter Lyra all about Earth, about you. If she ever finds a way, I asked her to bring you this message. The hologram flickered and changed. Now it showed Peter Morrison. With Lyra as a child, she was small with the same purple eyes but filled with curiosity. Peter was teaching her to use human tools, showing her how to build things. That is you. Jake asked, looking at the real Lyra. I was 7 Earth years. She said, I loved your grandfather, like he was my real father, because he was. My biological father died before I was born. Your grandfather raised me, taught me, gave me his name in the Zilani way. The door to the workshop suddenly opened. Jake jumped, but it was Amy. She looked angry and worried at the same time. Jake, what are you doing? She said, then saw Lyra. Do you know how much trouble you are in? Commander Stone is ready to call Earth Central. Amy, please, Jake said. This is my cousin. Amy laughed, but it was not a happy sound. Your cousin is an alien, Jake. That is not possible. It is possible. Jake said and showed Amy the hologram. She watched with wide eyes as Jake explained everything. Amy sat down hard on a bench when he finished. This changes everything. She said, if this is true, if the government has been hiding this, it is huge. We need help. Jake said, someone who knows interspecies law. Someone who can fight for Lyra to stay. Amy was quiet for a moment, thinking. Then she smiled. I know someone. My sister works for the Galactic Relations Office. She believes in bringing species together. She will help. Can you trust her? Jake asked. Amy nodded. She is family, and from what I just learned, family is more complicated than we thought. Lyra spoke up. I do not want to cause trouble. I just wanted to meet you, Jake, to give you the messages, to know my father's people. You are not causing trouble, Jake said firmly. They are causing trouble by trying to keep families apart. Amy stood up and pulled out her communicator. I need to call my sister before Stone finds us. We have maybe an hour before they search every room on the station. While Amy made her call, Jake showed Lyra around his workshop. He explained what each tool did, and she told him about similar tools on Zilani. They were different but the same, just like Jake and Lyra themselves. 20 minutes later, Amy's communicator buzzed. She answered it and her face went pale. They know where we are. She said Stone is coming with a full security team. We have 2 minutes. Jake's mind raced. There was nowhere to run on a space station, but then he remembered something. The emergency shuttle, Jake said. Maintenance crews have access for exterior repairs. That is crazy. Amy said. You cannot steal a shuttle. I am not stealing it, Jake said. I am borrowing it to protect my cousin. Lyra stood tall, and for the first time Jake saw power in her that was more than physical. My people have ships nearby, she said. If we can get outside the station, they will come. It was dangerous, and probably stupid, but Jake did not care. He had just found family he never knew existed. He was not going to let them take her away. They ran through the workshop to the back exit. Jake used his codes to open doors that should have stayed locked. Amy followed despite the risk to her career. Behind them, they could hear shouting and running boots. Commander Stone's voice echoed through the corridors. The shuttle bay was small and dimly lit. Only 2 shuttles sat ready for launch. Jake ran to the nearest one and started the launch sequence. "This is insane," Amy said, but she was helping sealing the door behind them. The shuttle engine roared to life just as the bay door exploded open. Commander Stone and 6 guards rushed in, weapons drawn. Jake did not hesitate. He hit the launch button. The shuttle burst out of the station into the black of space. The shuttle spun wildly through space. Jake fought with the controls, trying to steady it. He had trained on shuttles but never launched one without permission or preparation. Behind them, Station 7 grew smaller, but Jake could see other shuttles. Launching Commander Stone was not giving up Jake. "We have a problem," Amy said from the co-pilot seat. "They are charging weapons. Small shuttles like this have no shields." Lyra moved between them with strange grace, even in the spinning shuttle. She put her hand on the communication panel and did something Jake did not understand. The panel lit up with symbols he had never seen. "What are you doing?" Jake asked, still fighting to control their path calling. "My people," Lyra said. "They are closer than you." Think space in front of them seemed to bend and ripple like water. 3 ships appeared from nowhere. They were beautiful and impossible, looking like they were made of liquid metal that constantly moved. Their surfaces reflected the stars, making them almost invisible. The station shuttle stopped chasing immediately. Jake heard Commander Stone's voice on the radio. "Unknown vessels. This is Earth Station 7. You are in violation of territorial space. Leave immediately or we will contact the fleet." A new voice answered. It was musical like Lyra's, but deeper. "We are here for our family member, according to Galactic Law Section 7, which allows emergency family retrieval. Release them to us, and we will leave." Stone's voice was angry. "That alien is a security threat, and those humans are criminals. They stole a shuttle." The Zolani voice stayed calm. "Then we will wait here until the courts decide. The law is clear. Commander family rights exceed territorial claims in emergency situations." Jake looked at Lyra. "You planned this?" "Not exactly." Lyra said, "I hope to meet you quietly, give you the messages and leave. But I knew my people would come if I needed them. Family protects. Family. Your grandfather taught us that." One of the Zolani ships moved closer. It was huge, much bigger than it looked at first. A door opened in its side like liquid metal pulling apart. "Go," Jake told Amy. "You should go back. Say I forced you." Amy shook her head and surprised Jake by smiling. "My sister just sent a message. She filed an emergency injunction with the Galactic Relations Office. Stone cannot legally shoot at us now without causing an interspecies incident. Besides, someone needs to record this for the lawsuit." Jake guided the shuttle into the Zolani ship. The inside was nothing like human ships. The walls curved and flowed like frozen waves. Everything glowed with soft purple light. 3 Zolani waited for them. They looked like Lyra with the same silver skin and purple eyes, but each was unique. One had patterns on his skin like stars. Another had hair that was more blue than white. The tallest one stepped forward. "Welcome." "Jake Morrison," he said. "I am Kyron Lyra's uncle by her mother's bonds. Your grandfather was my close friend." Jake felt overwhelmed. These aliens were his family too. In a way, he had relatives across the galaxy. "Thank you for coming," Jake said, not sure if he should shake hands or bow, or what. Kyron smiled, an expression that looked almost human. "We protect our own," he said. "Your grandfather saved my daughter when she was sick. Now we protect his grandson. It is the way of family." Amy was recording everything with her tablet. "This is incredible," she whispered. The first human Zolani family reunion. Commander Stone's angry voice came through. "The communications. This is not over. The Zolani are harboring fugitives." Kyron touched a panel and responded, "Commander Stone. We are taking Jake Morrison and Amy Chen To the neutral station at Lunar Point 5. They will meet with Earth lawyers there. Lyra will remain with us as is her right, as a Zilani citizen. Jake started to protest. He wanted more time with Lyra to learn about his grandfather and her life, but Lyra touched his shoulder. This is best. She said, you must clear your name legally, and I must work with my government to change the rules. We will meet again. Cousin. She handed Jake another crystal. This one was clear like diamond. Every message, every video, every picture my mother and your grandfather saved. It is all here. Their whole life together. Now it is yours. Jake held the crystal carefully. It was the most precious thing he had ever owned. 30 years of his grandfather's lost life in his hand. The shuttle ride to Lunar Point 5 was quiet. Amy kept looking at her, tablet reading messages from her sister. You are famous, Jake, she said. Everyone is talking about the mechanic with an alien cousin. Some people are angry, but more are excited. They want to know more about your grandfather. About Lyra. Jake did not care. About being famous, he cared about family. He cared about the truth coming out. At Lunar Point 5, 2 lawyers waited for them. One was Amy's sister, Kelly, who looked like Amy, but older and more serious. The other was a man named Carlos, who specialized in interspecies law. You have started something important. Carlos said, the government has been hiding several cases like yours. Humans who stayed with alien species, who had families. This could change everything. Jake spent hours telling his story, showing the crystals, playing the holograms. Kelly and Carlos took notes, asked questions, and made plans. Commander Stone cannot touch you. Carlos said you committed no crime. Borrowing a shuttle in a family emergency is covered under Section 9 of station regulations. He might be angry, but the law is on your side. What about Lyra? Jake asked. Can she visit? Earth. Kelly smiled. That is the real fight. But with public opinion shifting and the evidence you have, we can win. The government cannot hide this anymore. Over. The next days, Jake became the center of a storm. Media wanted interviews, scientists wanted to study the crystals, politicians argued about what it all meant, but Jake focused on the messages from his grandfather. He watched them late at night in his small room at Lunar Point 5. He saw his grandfather teaching Zilani children about Earth, showing them pictures of blue skies and green trees. He saw him working in a laboratory, creating the cure that saved thousands. He saw him dancing at his wedding to Lyra's mother, a ceremony with lights and colors Jake had never imagined. In one message, his grandfather spoke directly to Jake again. I know this is strange, his grandfather said. Learning you have family among the stars. But strange is not. Bad, different is not wrong. Love crosses all boundaries, it speaks all languages, it needs no translation. Jake played that message over and over. A week later, the first ruling came down. Jake and Amy were cleared of all charges. The shuttle borrowing was ruled justified. Stone got a reprimand for overreacting. A month later, a bigger ruling. The Galactic Relations Court decided that family connections superseded travel restrictions. Lyra could visit Earth. Jake waited at the new Earth orbital platform, designed for interspecies meetings. He wore his best clothes, which were still just his cleaner work uniform. Amy stood beside him along with Kelly and Carlos. The Zilani ship arrived like a silver dream. It docked smoothly, and the door opened. Lyra walked out, but she was not alone. 12 other Zilani followed her, all different ages from children to elders. Jake looked at Lyra, confused. Lyra smiled, that almost human smile. You did not think you only had one Zilani cousin, did you? Your grandfather was very loved. He has 3 adopted children, 4 grandchildren, and many friends who called him brother. They all wanted to meet Peter Morrison's Earth grandson. Jake stood frozen as the Zilani approached. Each one greeted him in their own way. Some hugged him, their cool skin strange but comforting. Others touched his hand or forehead in what seemed like blessing. The smallest Zilani child, maybe 5 years old, walked up to Jake. She had purple eyes so bright they looked like LED lights. You look like Grandfather Peter, she said in accented English. He showed us pictures. Jake knelt down to her level. What is your name? Vera, she said. It means hope in your language. Grandfather Peter named me before he died. Jake felt tears in his eyes. His grandfather had named an alien child Hope. The media went crazy about the family reunion. Pictures of Jake surrounded by his Zilani relatives spread across every network. The mechanic from Station 7 became the symbol of something new. But for Jake, it was not about symbols or politics. It was about Vera showing him a drawing she made of Earth. It was about Chiron teaching him to read Zilani symbols. It was about Lyra translating stories. His grandfather had told, it was about family pure and simple. The universe had become bigger and smaller at the same time. Bigger because Jake now had family on distant worlds. Smaller because love made the light years meaningless. His grandfather had been right. Different was not wrong. Strange was not bad. And family was. Family, no matter what star they were born under. 6 months passed since Jake met his Zilani family. Earth had changed in those months. Not the planet itself, but the people on it. Jake now lived in New Geneva, a city built for human and alien cooperation. He still fixed things, but now he fixed alien technology too, learning from Lyra and other Zilani engineers. His small apartment had become a meeting place Lyra visited every week, bringing different family members each time. Tonight, she brought Vera and Chiron. Vera sat on Jake's couch, her small, silver legs swinging. She was drawing again. This time she drew Jake's apartment but added purple trees outside the window. On Zilani, we have trees that sing. She told Jake. Would you like to visit someday? Jake looked at Lyra, who nodded. Travel restrictions were lifting. More humans could visit Zilani now and more. Zilani could come to Earth. I would love that, Jake said to Vera. Maybe next year. Chiron was studying Jake's coffee maker with intense curiosity. Your grandfather tried to make coffee on Zilani. He said it never tasted right. He missed Earth coffee more than anything. Jake poured Chiron a cup and watched the tall alien take a careful sip. Chiron's purple eyes widened. This is what Peter described, he said quietly. Like drinking liquid energy and burnt sunshine, they all laughed. Even alien descriptions of coffee sounded weird. Amy arrived with her sister Kelly and Carlos the lawyer, but they also brought someone new. A woman with short gray hair and tired eyes. Jake, this is Commander Stone. Amy said. Jake tensed. He had not seen Stone since the chase 6 months ago. The man had tried to arrest him and Lyra. Stone stepped forward, and Jake noticed he was not wearing his uniform. Just civilian clothes. I came to apologize, Stone said. His voice was different, softer. I was wrong. I followed orders without thinking. Without questioning, Lyra stood up gracefully. She towered over Stone, but her presence was gentle, not threatening. You were doing your duty, she said. We understand duty on Zilani. Stone shook his head. My duty was to protect people. I forgot that protection means more than following rules. Sometimes it means breaking them for what is right. He pulled out a data pad and showed Jake a picture. It was a young woman with Stone's eyes and jaw. My daughter, Stone said. She is studying to be a xenobiologist now. She wants to study Zilani medicine because of what your grandfather did. She says, I was on the wrong side of history. Everyone was quiet for a moment. Then Vera walked over to Stone and handed him one of her drawings. It showed humans and Zilani standing together under a sky with both Earth's sun and Zilani's 2 suns. For you, she said. So you remember that different skies can be beautiful. Stone took the drawing carefully. His eyes were wet. Thank you, he said to the little alien girl. Carlos cleared his throat to break the emotional moment. I have news, he said. The Earth Council voted today. Full citizenship rights for any alien with human family members, and any human with alien family can claim dual citizenship. Jake felt his heart jump. You mean I could be a citizen of both Earth and Zilani if the Zilani government agrees? Carlos said, which according to Lyra they will. Lyra smiled widely, showing teeth that were almost but not quite human. My people have already voted. You are all welcome as family of Peter Morrison. The Earth healer Kelly pulled up news feeds on her tablet. This is bigger than just our family. she said. 3 more human-alien families have come forward. A human woman on Rigulus who married a local and had children. A human man on Kepler who was adopted by an alien family after his ship crashed. 20 years of hidden connections. The door chimed and Jake opened it to find a delivery drone. It carried a large box addressed to him in both English and Zilani symbols. Lyra recognized it first. That is from the Zilani Council, she said. Jake opened the box carefully. Inside was a crystal sculpture. It showed his grandfather standing between Earth and Zilani holding both worlds together. The base had words in both languages: Peter Morrison Bridge Between Worlds, Father to Many Teacher of Love. There was also a message cube. Jake activated it, and a hologram appeared. It was not his grandfather, this time, but an elderly Zilani female. Jake Morrison, she said. I am Elder Sira, leader of the Zilani Council. Your grandfather saved my life 30 years ago. I was dying from the plague, and his medicine cured me. I have lived to see my grandchildren. Because of him, the hologram shifted, showing thousands of Zilani gathered in what looked like a massive plaza. These are some of the people your grandfather saved. The elder continued, and their children and their children's children. We are naming our newest city Morrison in his honor. You and all your Earth family are welcome there always. Jake had to sit down. It was too much. His grandfather was not just a hero, but a legend on another world. Vera climbed onto Jake's lap and patted his face, the way a human child might. Why are you crying? She asked. Are you sad? No. Jake said, hugging his alien cousin. I am happy. Sometimes humans cry when they are very happy. Vera considered this Zilani cry colors. She said, when we are happy, we cry gold tears. When we are sad, we cry silver. What color do you cry for family? Jake asked. Purple, Vera said. Like our eyes, we cry purple for love. The room was full now. Jake's small apartment packed with humans and aliens. Amy was showing Chiron Earth videos on her tablet. Kelly and Carlos were discussing new laws with Lyra. Stone was sitting quietly looking at Vera's drawing, like it was the most important thing in the world. Jake thought about his grandfather alone on an alien world, but not really alone. He had found family and love and purpose. He had built bridges not with metal and tools, but with kindness and courage. The door chimed again. This time it was Jake's supervisor, Lisa, from Station 7. She looked around the crowded apartment with wide eyes. I heard you were having a family dinner. She said, I brought pie. Everyone laughed. Even the Zilani understood pie, apparently, because Vera immediately asked if it was the sweet kind. As Lisa cut the pie and everyone talked and laughed, Jake realized something important. This was what his grandfather had really left him. Not just messages or crystals or fame, but the knowledge that family was not about blood or species or planets. Family was about choosing to love despite differences. Family was about protecting each other. Family was about sharing pie in a too small apartment with people from different worlds. Later that night, after everyone had left except Lyra, Jake stood on his balcony looking at the stars. She stood beside him, her silver skin reflecting the city lights. Do you think he knew? Jake asked. Would my grandfather have imagined all this? Lyra was quiet for a moment. Yes, she said. He used to tell me that love was like gravity. It pulled things together that seemed far apart. He said one day Earth and Zilani would be family. He believed it when no one else did. Jake looked at his alien cousin, who was becoming more like a sister every day. He thought about Vera and her purple tears of love. He thought about Chiron learning to love coffee. He thought about Stone changing his mind and his heart. His grandfather had been right. Love was like gravity, and gravity worked across the entire universe. The next morning, Jake got a call from the Earth Space Agency. They wanted him to be part of a new program training mechanics to work on joint human-Zilani ships. They needed someone who understood both technologies, but more importantly, someone who understood both peoples. Jake said yes immediately. A year later, he stood in the Morrison City Plaza on Zilani. The purple trees really did sing a low humming that sounded like earth wind chimes. Vera held his hand as they walked to the memorial for his grandfather. The statue was perfect. It showed Peter Morrison not as a soldier or scientist, but as a teacher surrounded by children both human and Zilani. He was smiling that crooked smile Jake had inherited. Jake put earth flowers at the base of the statue while Lyra placed Zilani singing crystals. The two offerings looked right together. Different but harmonious. This is where it started, Lyra said. Where your grandfather chose love over fear. Where he chose to stay and help, instead of trying to leave. Jake looked around the plaza. Hundreds of Zilani and a growing number of humans filled the space. Children of both species played together. Their laughter sounded the same. No, Jake said. This is not where it started. This is where it grew. It started the moment two different people decided family was more important than fear. Vera tugged on Jake's hand. She pointed at the statue, then at him. You look like him, she said. But also like you. Jake picked her up and she wrapped her cool silver arms around his neck. That is the best compliment anyone has ever given me, Jake, said the two sons of Zilani set painting the sky purple and gold. Jake stood with his family. His impossible, beautiful family that crossed stars and species. His grandfather had built the bridge, and now Jake and others would keep building, making it stronger and wider until the distance between worlds did not matter at all. Until family was just family no matter what gravity they were born under. 2 years had passed since Jake first stood in Morrison City Plaza on Zilani. Now he was back, but everything was different. Jake wore the uniform of the 1st Interspecies Engineering Corps, a new organization that brought human and Zilani technology. Together, he was the lead instructor teaching both species how to work as one. The transport ship landed smoothly on the Zilani platform. 30 human students followed Jake out, their eyes wide with wonder. It was their first time on an alien world. Remember what we practiced, Jake told them. The gravity is lighter here, so move carefully. The air is safe but might smell strange at first, and be respectful. These people are our partners, not subjects to study. Among the students was a young woman named Claire. She reminded Jake of himself 2 years ago, curious but nervous. She stayed close to Jake as they walked. Lyra waited for them at the platform. She wore her own instructor uniform, now teaching Zilani students about Earth. Her silver skin caught the light of the two suns, making her look like she was glowing. Welcome to Zilani, she said to the students. I am Lyra, your co-instructor and Jake's cousin. Some students still looked shocked at the word cousin. Even after 2 years, the idea of human-alien families was strange to some people. Vera ran up to Jake. She was taller now, reaching his waist instead of his knees. Her purple eyes were bright with excitement. Uncle Jake, she called in perfect English. Did you bring what you promised? Jake pulled out a small box from his bag. Inside was a baseball signed by the entire Earth team that had played the first human-Zilani friendship game. Vera hugged it to her chest. She had become obsessed with Earth sports, teaching all the Zilani children how to play. Her dream was to be the first Zilani player on an Earth team. The students watched this exchange with fascination. Seeing Jake interact with his alien family made everything more real, more normal. They walked through Morrison City, and Jake pointed out important places. The hospital where his grandfather had worked, the school where he taught, the house where he lived with Lyra's mother. This is not just history, Jake told his students. This is the future. Cities like this, where our species live and work together. Claire raised her hand. Mr. Morrison, why did your grandfather stay? Why not try to return to Earth? Jake thought about the question. He had asked it himself many times. Come, Jake said, I will show you. He led them to a building that looked like crystallized water. It was the Morrison Memorial Library. Inside were thousands of records, videos, and artifacts from Jake's grandfather's life. Jake activated a hologram, one he had not shared publicly before. It showed his grandfather in a Zilani medical facility. He looked sick, very sick. His hair was gone and his skin was pale. The radiation from the accident, the hologram. Peter said, I am dying, but the Zilani have given me time. Maybe 5 years, maybe 10. If I try to travel back to Earth, I will die in weeks. The hologram shifted, showing Peter working with Zilani doctors. So I choose to use my time, he continued. I choose to teach, to heal, to love. I choose to plant seeds. I will never see grow, but maybe my grandson will. The students were silent. Claire had tears in her eyes. He gave up everything. Another student named Marcus said, no. Jake said, he gained everything. He gained a new family, a new purpose. He saved a species, and he created a bridge between worlds. Kyron entered the library, followed by 20 Zilani students. They were part of Lyra's class learning about Earth engineering. Greetings. Kyron said to the human students, I was Peter Morrison's friend. I will tell you stories of him if you wish. The students mixed together humans and Zilani sitting on cushions as Kyron told stories. Some were funny, like when Peter tried to cook Earth food with Zilani ingredients and created something that glowed for 3 days. Some were sad, like when Peter cried watching Earth broadcasts, knowing he would never go home, but all the stories were about love. That evening they had dinner in the plaza. Tables were set up under the singing trees. Human food and Zilani food sat side by side. The students tried everything, brave enough now to taste alien cuisine. Jake watched Claire share her tablet with a young Zilani, showing him pictures of Earth oceans. The Zilani had never seen so much water in one place. His planet was mostly crystal deserts and purple forests. Amy arrived on the evening transport with news from Earth. She was now the director of interspecies relations, a job that did not exist 3 years ago. The vote passed. She announced, 100 Earth families have been approved to settle on Zilani, and 100 Zilani families will settle on Earth. Everyone cheered. Vera jumped up and down, so excited she started crying, golden tears her happy color. Jake felt proud but also worried. Integration was not easy. There had been problems, fear and misunderstanding on both sides. Some humans still thought the Zilani were dangerous. Some Zilani thought humans were too violent. But looking at his students sharing food and stories, Jake had hope. That night, Jake could not sleep. He walked through the quiet city to his grandfather's old house. Lyra had given it to him, but he rarely visited. It made him too emotional. Inside, everything was preserved. Peter's Earth books lined the shelves. His tools sat on the workbench. Photos of Earth covered one wall. Photos of Zilani covered another. Jake found a journal he had not seen before. It was handwritten the old way with pen and paper. He sat down to read. Day 500 on Zilani. Peter had written, I dreamed of Jake last night. He was grown up and standing right where I am now. He was not alone. He had family on both worlds. I woke up crying because I knew it was not just a dream but a prophecy. Love always finds a way. Jake closed the journal and held it to his chest. His grandfather had seen this. Future had believed in it when it seemed impossible. Soft sound made Jake look up. Lyra stood in the doorway. I thought I would find you here, she said. Jake showed her the journal, and she smiled. He wrote about you constantly. She said how proud he was, how he knew you would do great things. I am just a mechanic who teaches, Jake said. Lyra sat beside him, her tall frame folding gracefully. You are a bridge builder just like him. Not with medicine, but with understanding. You show people that different is not dangerous. Through the window they could see the 2 moons of Zilani rising. They cast silver light that made everything look magical. Lyra, I have been thinking. Jake said, what if we create an exchange program for children? Start them young before fear sets in. Lyra's purple eyes brightened. That is brilliant. Children adapt faster than adults. Vera would love Earth schools for a year. And human children here. Jake added, learning together, growing together. They spent hours planning, writing ideas on Peter's old notebooks. It felt right, using his things to build the future he dreamed of. The next morning, Jake announced the program to his students. We are going to start the Morrison Youth Exchange. He said, children from both worlds living with host families for a year. Learning that family is not about species. Claire raised her hand immediately. I want to host a Zilani child. My little brother would love a alien sibling. Other students volunteered too. The Zilani students were equally excited. Vera pulled on Jake's sleeve. Can I go first? She asked, please, Uncle Jake. I want to see Earth snow and Earth dogs and Earth everything. Jake hugged her. You will be in the first group, he promised. But you have to teach human children about Zilani too. I will teach them to hear the colors in music, Vera said excitedly, and to see the songs in starlight. An older Zilani approached Jake. It was Elder Sierra, the council leader. She moved slowly, but her presence was powerful. Peter Morrison's grandson. She said, you continue his work. I try, Jake said. She touched his forehead. With one long finger, a Zilani blessing. He would be proud. She said, you have made family from strangers, hope from fear, future from dreams. That night, there was a celebration. Both species danced under the stars. The music was strange. A mix of earth, drums, and Zilani crystal chimes, but it worked. Somehow Jake danced with Vera on his shoulders. She laughed and reached for the stars. Her joy was infectious, making everyone smile. Marcus, the student who had questioned earlier, approached Jake. I was wrong. He said your grandfather did not give up anything he invested in the future, and we are the interest he earned. Jake watched his students, Human and Zilani, teaching each other dance moves. Their laughter echoed across the plaza. 3 years ago, Jake had been just a mechanic on Station 7 fixing pipes and filters. Now he was building something much bigger. A future where a little alien girl could call him uncle, where his grandfather's love had created a family across stars, where different was not just accepted but celebrated. The 2 suns set and the 3 moons rose. The party continued, mixing Earth songs and Zilani light shows. Children of both species fell asleep in their parents' arms, not caring if those arms were silver or pink. Jake stood with Lyra watching it all. We did it, Jake said. We are really doing it. No, Lyra said, Peter Morrison did it. He planted the seed. We are just the gardeners helping it grow, and it would keep growing. Jake knew generation after generation until the space between worlds was just a short trip to visit family. Until humanity's greatest achievement was not its technology or its courage, but its ability to love without limits.